Good morning. Welcome to the Technology Integration Workshop powered by Best Prep. You are in the session titled Digital Collaboration for Every Classroom. We're very excited to have Wendy Wolf from Concordia University as your presenter. And as a reminder, if you have questions or comments, please enter them in the chat box. I'll be monitoring that throughout the session, and Wendy will make sure that either she's answering during the session or will provide some answers after the session. Also, please remember that this session is being recorded and posted later in the Recorded Sessions widget of the SpotMe website. And it can be viewed for a year afterwards for play, pause, rewind at your own speed. You can also view additional sessions that you can't watch later and access them again for 1 year. In addition, Best Prep is collecting feedback on all sessions, so please complete the survey, and the link is on the Breakout page on the agenda on the SpotMe website. And also, please remember to mute your microphone if it isn't already muted. You can do that by clicking the mic icon at the bottom left of your screen. So let's get started. I'm happy to introduce Wendy Wolf from Concordia University, and she's going to share her wealth of knowledge on digital collaboration for every classroom.
Thanks, Kathy. Hi, everybody. I am really excited to be here with you all today. This is my, I think, 6th or 7th, maybe, Best Prep presentation for the Technology Integration Workshop. And when I started out, I was in my 18th year at Totino Grace High School, working with social studies students, grades 9 through 12. And so a lot of my ideas are coming from that time, and I am excited to share them with you. So one of the things that we've been looking at a lot over the last couple of years are the 4 C's, and looking at communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. And collaboration, especially in normal times, we might have it looking more like our students are on the left-hand side of our picture on the slide, all together and working and enjoying and sharing and laughing together and growing. In the more recent times, we had, as we all know, and we're all a part of, almost 55 million students across the United States when it hit its peak in May, when we had our closures and distance learning. It affected 124,000 schools. And a lot of times we shifted in that emergency situation, we shifted to be more of a checklist focused delivery system, because it was what we were able to do in an emergency setting. And last spring was definitely an emergency. And so one of the things that seemed to be missing in a lot of opportunities that went unexplored, we're looking at how can we have students collaborate, either across the digital divide, or some people had Zoom meetings so they could get together, but we're really going to focus on some aspects of collaboration today. And as many of us are looking at hybrid models as we move into the fall, and we have students at home and in the classroom and on a rotating basis, how can we really remember, we don't just want to have checklists, we want to have really high quality learning opportunities for our students, and collaboration is a big piece of it. And so, as I'm getting into this, I just wanted to make sure everyone knows, in the presenter notes of the slide deck, you will find links to articles and tutorials, sometimes ideas or examples for specific ways that we can use the tools that are going to be shared here today. And sometimes I'll ask you to participate with us as well. So we'll have some collaboration of our own going on today, hopefully. So one of the things that this spring really taught us, I think, it's not about what technology we use, it's how do we use it, and how do we create that experience for our learners? How do we make it rich? How do we make it engaging? How do we make it fun? How do we make it meaningful? I don't know exactly what a user experience geek is, but I think I want to be one. That would be an outstanding thing to be, because I really do care about that user experience, and the users are our students, our learners. And so sometimes we'll be using easy technology, sometimes we'll be using more complex technology. I think most of what I'm sharing with you today is pretty straightforward. And so I hope that you can find some great ideas. And if you find yourself off-roading a little bit, because we set up the slide decks that you can do that, I just hope that you come back at the end and share with us what you got into. Okay, so here is our first opportunity to work together, kind of a centering activity. And I'm going to ask you to go to the link that should appear in our chat soon, if it's not there already. And that, or you can click off of the slide, and I'm going to ask you to participate in our one word. So if we click on that slide, it's going to open up to a Google slide deck that is open, and that you can click on the little T up here and you can add your word for what is one word that describes how you're feeling about the 2020 Best Prep Technology Integration Workshop. How would you capture your thoughts about participating in our workshop? So let's just take a minute. Everybody add a word. Change the font if you'd like. And we're doing this anonymously. This is something that you can, I'm just going to talk over while you're doing this. So this is an open slide. We can have up to 100 different people working on our slide at the same time. And remember that when you're working with your students, we can pop open a slide anytime and give it to them. They don't have to have a Google account. We can set it so that they're together or not. We could have them contribute pictures. We could have them contribute fun graphics. We could have one words. We could have kind of whatever we would like. And I'm going to move this little guy back up here. So, and the other fun thing is you can do it anonymously. So it opens up, yes, a little bit of trust, but that's okay. Then also one word here that is, and this is an example of how I use the presenters text boxes. The cooltext.com, if you've never used it, it's a really easy text generator for a whole bunch of different kinds of quick fonts and graphics just based on words. So, all right, we have some really excited opportunities and overwhelmed. Whoever just typed overwhelmed, I'm there right there with you. I mean, yes, I teach online grad school quite a bit, but it's a big lift. I've been working with a couple other learning opportunities online, and I get kind of overwhelmed with them too. So awesome. And you can see we can move each other's stuff around, and this is a good opportunity, especially when we're working with our learners, to say, remember not to delete other people's stuff if you can help it. If you maybe do accidentally, we can bring it back. So, all right, there's our one example. And thank you for participating. And look at those different fonts. If you're curious, I'm going to use Innovative here as an example. If you click on your text box or the font, you can add in a ton of different fonts. And if you can't find enough, you can always click on more fonts there. And Google has met the font junkies in all of us, and they have hundreds of fonts in here that we can choose from. So that's awesome. Okay, so let's continue, and let's keep in mind we'll call that our open Google slide deck. Okay, and I'm excited to be learning with you all today too. All right. We're going to get to know each other as far as what grades we're teaching and where we might be geographically in just a minute. But something that I wanted to share, and I'm not going to play the video for you. I'm going to put it out there as something that you could have over a cup of coffee or lemonade or something on your back patio if the internet goes that far. This is from 2013. And Bob Sprengel was an awesome educator on the East Coast, and I'm using the past tense because he did pass away not long ago, but he did some amazing things with this was in second grade in this situation, and they were creating podcasts and vodcasts weekly, and they collaborated in their classrooms, and the video that's linked is incredibly inspiring. And considering it was a while ago now that they were doing this, it should inspire, I think, all of us to know that it doesn't matter what age, we can help the youngest of collaborators. So I hope you enjoy that little video peek into there. Okay. All right, as we look at our students and helping them, some things we want to keep in mind as we get started. One of the things that saves our students time, and especially when we're looking at that whole sea of the internet, is to really help them find and use ethical resources, from images to audio and video, making your own little clips like I did that one word thing using cool text. So I linked here for you a collection of some of my favorite resources for copyright friendly, education friendly work. And if you get curious about the Noun project and their icons, they do have, if you search around for just a little bit, and I may have linked it in, I will make a note. If it's not in the notes, I will add it. I always have a little note paper when I'm doing presentations, even now. They have a free, not free, but a way less expensive teacher option to use the Noun project. And you can then change the icons. You can always use it because it's free, but you do need to, oh, I'm sorry, I got distracted with the chat. I should leave it. You do need to say where you got your icons if you don't have an account, and they are black and white if you don't have an account. But if you do have an account that you purchase or go in with some friends on to purchase, then you can customize the colors and you don't need to attribute. So it's kind of a neat piece. Okay, another thing that is super helpful for students is to help them get to wherever it is you want them to go quickly. And so using a URL shortener like tinyurl could be helpful. Sometimes we can post things if we have an LMS, or if we're using something like Seesaw or QR codes, we can get our students to the resources instead of having them type out the long links. And then just like we used for our one slide, we can remember the flexibility that Google gives us. If we set it to anyone with the link can edit, you probably don't want to do that in every slide deck you ever create, but if you're inviting people to participate and share, it's a good piece there. Okay, one other tip as we get into the fun, most of the things that I'm sharing with you today and well, everything is free. That's the first thing I need to say, other than the Noun project option to up. Everything is free that we're sharing today. And there's one opportunity to go a little deeper and purchase one other account, but you can do all of what we're going to do in some capacity free for sure. Look out for the free trials is my little tip. Sometimes they don't allow you to fully utilize the free option or free version if you've already upped for a free trial. So watch that carefully. All right, and then remember the presenter's notes has those extra little goodies there, and at the end we'll have those back to you again. Without any further ado, I want to share with you a little 2-minute video here. Actually, it might not even be 2 minutes. One of the things that I absolutely love about all of those key points is that it's not just about collaboration for fun. We can have a lot of fun, and it's extremely important too.
He would need this one, he would need this one, but he should only need one or the other of these.
Friends, if we could all make sure we're muted, that'd be fantastic. I think somebody's unmuted. Okay, thanks. All right, so what we're going to do now is another little collaborative exercise, and it works with collaborative mapping. And this can be applied to any classroom. And what I'm going to invite you to do is to contribute to a shared Google map. And I'm going to leave the directions up on the screen and talk them over. Kathy is going to be putting the link to our map in here's our map. Actually, here, let me Here, I'll throw that map in there just real quick. So if you could go to our map, and after you've logged into your Google account, either personal or school, doesn't matter, you'll be contributing to our map. If you don't have a Google account for any reason, I would still love for you to be able to participate in this particular activity because it helps us get to know who is all here. And so you can easily use a Google link or Google account that I've set up for training purposes, and that link is in the chat box. It's etl.ipod2@gmail.com, and the password is One Sunday Brunch. So once you've logged into an account for Google, you can click to go to our shared map. And if you could please type in your school's address, and let's see, so type in your school's address, and then you'll see a little plus button, and you can click that plus button to add to the map. And then there's a pencil icon. You can add your name, your school, the subject or subjects that you teach, your grade level. And if you have time, you can click the photo icon to maybe add an image of your school if you can find one. Play around with other features if you have time. Our hope is just that we can get the text in there. And so I will leave this up for just a moment, and then I will join you in the shared map. If you have questions, you can throw them in the chat box, or if you get stuck, you can just let us know. I'm going to go on audio mute for just a moment while you all check that out.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Do you say we need to go into the, okay, we should follow the steps to get into Google Maps?
Yes, please. Okay. And the link to that map is also in our chat window. So you can either click on Shared Google Map on your slide if you have the slides that you're following, or you can click in the chat window. It says activity, and it gives you the options for the account you can borrow, and then there's the link to the map.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. Okay, I'm going to join everybody in the map. How are we doing? All right, where is our map? So once you've clicked, typed in your address, then you're able to add it to a map. And then once you have it added, you can click the little edit button. And you can click save.
Wendy, I've been done with mine for a while, and it still has, I mean, I've done the photo, I've done everything, okay, and it's not showing up on yours. So I wonder if did we use, I can see Concordia University on mine, and I can see what I posted.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay,
Now everybody's there. I just needed to press refresh.
there we go.
Google, the Google. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, the cool thing then is if you think about using maps, and I'm excited that y'all can hit refresh if you need to. And now that I refreshed you, I can be with everybody. You know, think about what you could do with this. You could, we could look at different places in the country. We could look at different places in the world. We could be doing a little unit, and each student could be doing some information about different national parks or state parks. You know, if we can give each person an address or even just a place to do a Google search, we can bring that address into our bar, and you can see that that wasn't too difficult. Something to share, and I'm excited to see all of the different locations that we have coming with us today, and I hope that you're willing to, like, here, if we click our Osseo here and I move my little box, come on, there's my little box. It's hiding behind my thing. I have too many windows moving around, friends. Okay, I'm going to.
I had that issue too, and I just clicked on the map and drug it over. So
there we go. Perfect. There we go. I have 4 different little things open. It's stressing me out a little bit. So there we go. So hopefully we can spend some time. The link to the map will stay up, and hopefully you'll connect with each other. And that was kind of my hope. So we have some 912 business. We have some Patrick Henry High School is represented. St. Peter Claver, that's awesome. Our IT director, you're close in our neighborhood. That's fantastic. So we have quite a few attendees. I'm super excited to see you all here. And let's keep that connection going. In our slide deck, in the notes for this particular slide, you'll see some ideas for using, and yes, it does take a village, for using maps in the ESL classroom and maps in math and history and you know, English. We can trace authors, we can do books, we can do locations. I'm off-roading just a little bit, but if you're familiar with Google Lit Trips, LITTRIPS, Google Lit Trips, if you're an English or language arts teacher, you might want to check those out. Those are pre-made for Google Earth, but the concept could certainly be put into a Google map. Something else to keep in mind is that if your school isn't a Google school and your students don't have an account, there is a, let's see, what am I doing here? There is another, Zoom's in my way here. Move Zoom. There we go. Map Hub is coming soon, and it's promising to be very collaborative, and I don't know what their shared settings are going to be like. So keep your eyes open for Math Hub on that one, and that might get us into more mapping. Okay, let's look at, we're going to look at a few more curation tools, and we're not going to try every single tool. Those are just kind of to keep us in the game a little bit and to get to try things too. A lot of people have been using Padlet over the last couple of years. Padlet does allow us to share even more than when it first started. It was just text and maybe a link, and now you can share video and files and text and all sorts of different things. I like to give assignments and have my students use it like a digital bulletin board, and you'll see on this particular slide is an example of the 1970s presidential Padlet that I had my juniors working on about 3 years ago, and they absolutely loved working on it together. It was very easy for them to share, and this is just a little example of the kind of work that they were pulling together. Webjets is a relatively new tool, and they have a fantastic education option, and it's a lot like Padlet, except it allows you to organize boards in a little bit different manner. And they like to say you're creating a desk, like a desktop for collaboration and sharing files and things, and you can color coordinate your work, which could help for a visual organization as well. Okay, Nearpod. If you're not familiar with Nearpod, it's very similar to Pear Deck, if that's something that's on your in your wheelhouse, or if neither of those are familiar to you, it is a remote learning tool, or you could use it in a classroom where students have a device. It could be an iPad, could be a tablet, could be Chromebook, could be MacBook Air, whatever device that they have. And you can share presentations that you make, and they'll be on the students' screens. And they have a relatively new feature called Collaborate, and it allows you, it's kind of like a little bit lighter version of Padlet, and they call it more of their brainstorming tool. And so you can contribute an image, and you can contribute text. And so if you would like to check that out either now or in the future, if you go to nearpod.com, and you can check out our Collaborate board with the code UXLHG, you will see our board here, and here we go. So if you want to post on our board, and the code is up in that corner again, UXLHG, that's at nearpod.com. And you can simply type your thought down in the box. If you wanted to add a photo, you sure could. And so what I'm asking you to do, if you'd like to contribute on this particular board, what's a favorite digital tool that you have? Could be collaborative, could be not. But this would be another way to gather those ideas and a quick little share. So if you'd like to check that out, you're certainly welcome to.
Wendy, while people are thinking about that,
Yeah.
Jessica has a question about which is better, Nearpod or Padlet in the free version?
In the free version. Well, it'll be interesting to see
Sorry,
what
Pear Deck.
Oh, Pear Deck, the free version. Nearpod's free version is better than Pear Deck's free version, in my opinion. I think they have a bit more flexibility. And the other thing that Nearpod is doing is they're being incredibly generous to teachers going into the 2021 school year. And they have given all teachers a free silver level, like they even got rid of their basic level. And so because of COVID and they want to support teachers, we all get free silver. And so we have full access to sharing websites and putting in quizzes and all sorts of things. And if they want to do it on district level, then the districts get to pay for it. But we, the teachers, on an individual level, we get our own. So hopefully that helps. How are we doing?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, Erin, Screencast-O-Matic, my favorite go-to. If you're not familiar with Screencast-O-Matic, Erin's shared a gem there.
And Wendy, as you're looking for people to continue adding,
Yeah.
David asks, if you start on one platform, how hard is it to carry over to the next without starting over?
Platform, what do we mean platform? Do you mean like Pear Deck to Nearpod?
David, can you clarify? He says, it looks like Pear Deck to Nearpod.
Pear Deck to Nearpod, your familiarity will carry you over quickly. Content-wise, I have not checked into migration. But getting used to Nearpod, it will take you about 5 minutes or less, I think. Here we go. Now, one of the things that I will tell you is a little bit of a, oh yeah, Jessica, Canva's coming up. We will get there. I was just peeking at the chat for a second. One of the things that frustrated me about this Nearpod shareboard is if I asked you to put up links for it, the links aren't hot. But what you can do is copy and paste them in. So at least people can see, like if Heather were to put flipgrid.com, we could all copy flipgrid.com and paste it. So yeah, a little bit of step one, step two, but that's okay. All right, so let's continue on. Whoops, here, there we go. So with Nearpod and Collaborate, I just wanted people to know about that and know that they have that board. And the Collaborate tool, I should say before we leave, is that's just one aspect of Nearpod. They have a whole nother section that is the whole interactive Pear Deck-like system. So I encourage you to check that out too. All right, about 3 or 4 years ago, Microsoft created Sway, and it is a fantastic tool that is definitely dynamic, and I can't even really think of a Google tool that it tries to challenge, if you will. you can see, whoops, on this particular slide, you can add in little content boxes. And so on mine, it says, you know, just add an image, or down over the side, you can do image, video, audio. You can bring in clips from websites. It's extremely easy to collaborate on. People do need a Microsoft Office account, but what I find hilarious is that you can just use your Google email or your school email to set it up. You don't have to set up a Microsoft account. I don't know, I always laugh about that. And so basically what that allows you to create is a interactive kind of virtual poster together. And this is what my Richard Nixon one looks like if I were to hit play. These are the little blocks that I created about his life. And each of those little sections is called a card. Some of them I made more exciting than others in my little sample here. So you can see there's some links, there's some pictures. And if I were to click play, you can create the neat banner with some interactivity there. There is no sound for you to hear. And you can see that you can have head banners come in, you can put in text, and again, more links, images, videos. You can create a little slideshow in the, like that's a little slideshow right there where you can flip through the slides. And so students can create these collaboratively. And so if they were to make an interactive poster, that's, I guess, the best thing that I would call this. I have seen some people try to use this like a slide deck, and it works fantastically if you want to go in a linear fashion. Just be aware if you get midway down and you have a problem, you start again at the top. It doesn't let you refresh to any center spot. So that's something that's kind of a different piece about Sway and something to keep in mind, but it's still a really neat tool. Okay. Along the curation tool, we're pulling things together, is also Wakelet, and Wakelet has been gaining quite a bit of traction over the last couple of years, and they allow you to grab information from, and this is pretty impressive, just about everywhere, Twitter, the YouTube, other social media. I believe they even pull in Instagram as well as websites and, you know, your content that you create. And so you can pull together like a bulletin board kind of thing for using the Wakelet tool. And there are some tutorial boxes for Wakelet. But think about if you wanted your students to collect resources for something, or if you wanted to collect quality resources for them to access, you could create creative customized Wakelets. But really my hope is that we give these tools to the students so that they can do it as well. One thing to keep in mind about Wakelet is I haven't seen their access for younger students under the age of 12. And so if you're working with students under the age of 12, I would shift back to Padlet, because you can still link to just about everything, and you can set up the boards for your students to use. Okay. Moving into some communication tools. Flipgrid is a favorite, now owned by Microsoft, and I bet they've never been more happy that they own it as they were last spring. They've made some huge changes and improvements to Flipgrid, especially with the large number of users. If you haven't had the opportunity to try Flipgrid yet, I really encourage you to give it a go. It allows you to create a prompt, either typed or a video prompt, to your students, and then your students can click in and post a response. And you can set permissions so that you can approve the prompts before the student responses before they become public, or you could say the student needs to post their response before they can see the responses of others. I found that incredibly helpful when I was first using this. I didn't do that, and my first and second and third responses were really creative, and then the fourth and fifth and 10th and 15th weren't, and the 28th weren't quite as creative. They sort of started to mention the same things, and I thought, maybe that's why you say post yours before you answer the question, or before you get to see your friends. So Flipgrid is a really good video tool, and a lot of educators use it, especially for world languages. All right, a tool that I don't know, I'm just gonna, if anybody has used Comment Bubble in the chat, could you just type a little Y for yes? Anybody use Comment Bubble yet? Okay, well, let's check it out. Comment Bubble allows the user to post a video, either from Vimeo or from YouTube, and then provide a link either to friends on a small scale, or you can open it up on a larger scale to be to anyone. And Comment Bubble then lets the viewers literally engage with that video. They can post their questions, they can post their comments, they can post their ideas. And I found a 2-minute video on collaboration. And so what I would love for everyone to try is to go to the Comment Bubble, and I put it as a tiny URL on the slide, or I believe Kathy's going to be able to put it into the chat. And so go to the Comment Bubble, click on the video, please mute yourself if you're not, I think we are, and just play. And you don't have to watch the whole 2 minutes or anything, but play a little bit and then type something or click a response just to kind of see how Comment Bubble interacts with us. And then we will check that out together on a user screen really quick. You can see we have one person at the 22-second mark said, great question. If I were to be watching this video, and I'm just going to mute it for fun, but let's say I was to the 40 seconds and I said, ooh, that's a great point. And that's just going to pop in here and it'll say, since I'm signed in, it'll say my name. So you can have individuals either named or anonymously enter text and information, or they could do a video or an audio response too. And I will say, as people are kind of exploring, putting one of these together once you have your video takes about 5 minutes. So that's a fun one. You could have your students participating together or working together on analyzing a news story or something along those lines. Okay, I'm going to leave that open so that people can. Oh, yeah.
Just a quick question. So this is something that you would probably want the students to have an account with, just so they're not putting inappropriate comments, just like Padlet. I mean, we don't want things to show up as anonymous.
True. But the other thing, if you didn't want them to have an account and you're working with littles, you could either assign them a code number, like everybody has their own number in a class, and they could put in, like, if I'm number 62, I would say 62, and then I could type in my stuff and the teacher would know who I was. And if you wanted them to put in initials, they could put in their initials. So if you want the program to check them, yes, they need an account. If you have really quality students that you can trust to put in either their initials or a code, they could do it that way if you didn't want them to have an account.
I want those trusting students.
What are those trusting students?
No, I want them. I don't have those. I want them.
Okay.
Send me that.
Well, there is that. And some of those kinds of things grow over time too. I mean, sometimes day 1 of school is going to be different than day 50 of school. We know that. And as we build that community and as we get that rapport, then sometimes comes more trust too. One other feature that I forgot to mention is you can export as a CSV file all of your comments. So you could open it up for a certain amount of time and then you could close it and you could export it and delete it if you wanted to. So it's possible too. Okay, so that'll be available for people to play with. Let's explore just a few more things, because I want to make sure we have some time for questions at the end if you'd like. We have the University of Minnesota put together a program called Video Ant, which is a fantastic resource. It also annotates the videos that you put in with you type in your notes and it'll annotate them with a time-stamped mark on them. So students could share together a video, and then they could, maybe in a small group, say, well, I liked this section, I liked this section, and you can export your notes as well. So Video Ant is like if you were a fan like I was of Video Notes. Video Notes just went away about 2 months ago. And so Video Ant is definitely filling a void in that market for those kinds of things. Pen Pals is a fantastic free resource for schools and teachers, recognizing that this spring, not only do we have 55+ million students in our schools in the United States out of school, but we had 1.5 billion affected learners globally, according to UNESCO. And reaching out and making sure that we're not feeling alone is so powerful. Pen Pals allows schools to sign up to do projects together, and they make the matches. So you can look at the different topics and grade levels, and you can see how many Pen Pal schools or teachers have signed up for them. And then you can work collaboratively with schools from other states, cities, countries on those projects, and they're just fantastic. They also, and this is kind of what you would see, who's there and what languages they're working in, and then you can go in and decide what grade levels. You can do a quick search and sift through who's doing what. They also have challenges, and each spring they have, or winter into spring, they have challenges where you can come together as students to collaboratively solve problems, which is great. A couple other tools that we're not necessarily going to explore together, but could be really neat if you had some students in your classroom and some students out of the classroom and they needed a free whiteboard to work with. Web Whiteboard is super easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You click create free whiteboard and you get a drawing board where they could brainstorm. And that drawing board will stay alive for about 23 days, I believe, and then it goes poof, so you could take a screenshot of it or export it so that it can be used. Twidla is very simple, but you cannot export it, otherwise it does the same thing. It allows for just live quick meetings to share your screen. Now Comment is a tool that doesn't get enough press, I don't think. They started out wanting to have conversations about documents. And so if you think about what we saw with Let's Comment looking at video, Now Comment, and I'm simply going to pop it up on my screen. Now Comment allows you to put up a document and images or things from a website, and it's still interactive. Like I can click and the links are still alive. And so you could say, oh my gosh, this is incredibly powerful. So I can click there, it would highlight, and I would type over on the side and it would capture my comment about that document. And you can set that to be public, or you can invite users based on accounts. So again, students would want to have an account. It is designed for student use, so that is incredibly powerful. You can print out the comments if you'd like. You can save the comments. And so it focuses mainly, it can do some video, but it's definitely document, links, those kinds of things. So I encourage you to check that out. We're a little tight on time, so I'll just leave that available to you. You can check out our that on your own. All right, so to make things, Canva was mentioned in the chat window. Canva, I love them. Not only are they available to be used by K-12 students, but they, in the last year or so, opened up all aspects of Canva to be collaborative in nature. So it gives beautiful templates for infographics and all sorts of different projects that you can see on the screen. And so students can dig in and create, which I love. We have to have them create as much as possible because then they can really get their hands dirty with that content. This is an example of some of the things that they can do. We can make badges or posters, and you can start with this great template kind of concept here, so you don't have to be beautifully creative yourself first. Madmag allows you to upload documents as PDFs and then make virtual magazines for them, so students could create, let's say they work together in Google Docs to create, or in their Microsoft Office 365 to create a document that has their text and links and pictures, and then they can upload it, or you could upload it to Madmag and it would turn it into a free digital magazine, so they can share their work with an authentic audience, which is awesome. If you're into coding or you want your students to collaboratively code, Collab Edit is another option for working just on code together. And so you can click on this little programming language button and you have about 10 different kinds of languages that you can work on together. So it's fantastic, and that doesn't require any account of any sort. It's just live. Remembering that we can do more sometimes than what we realize with things like document cameras or iPads that are positioned to take pictures below them, like a document camera might be. I know some of my colleagues use a crate and they set their cameras up on the crate aiming down so they can move their things to create stop motion movies. We can do those collaboratively using Google Slides. I know our 5-minute mark. So here we go. The musicians amongst us and amongst our students, Flat and our music online here from Audio Tool, allow our students to work with music collaboratively, either creating it or creating playlists, or this is writing more scores, this is more putting together clips. And then we have a few tools about creative thinking. Padlet is kind of the granddaddy of mind maps and web tools, and it's good for both iPads and computers and Chromebooks. And Kaggle is an equivalent there, and you'll see some links for how to use Kaggle. So they're just two pretty easy mind mapping tools, but they are collaborative, so students could do that together again. Sutori and Google Drawings and Google Slides would all be great for timelines. And before we get into Google, just a nod to digital breakouts. Breakoutedu has a free version as well as a paid version, and they have some fun breakouts that students can do, but sometimes they're pretty challenging. So creating your own might be a good option because we know the levels of our students. This is one of those higher level challenging things for us, but they could work together either digitally in a small group meeting chat room, or as a team in a physical space together. And the breakouts are fun. Okay, QR code scavenger hunts are another piece you can link to text, or sometimes they're easier in person. So this might be more of if your students are actually in the classroom and able to move around. And this one, they were working in teams to determine what parts of the school were like different parts of a cell. That was pretty cool. Goose Chase, if you're out in the world, for cell phones are fantastic. And then what follows from here is a collection of Google templates. I don't need to describe them all to you. You can explore them, call them your Easter egg if you will. There are many, many Google templates, from museums to social media templates, all sorts of different pieces dealing with ways that students can work together and share different ways to use Google. There are a ton, okay? So with that, we are at 3 minutes to go. And so I am simply going to open it up to a thank you and say, does anybody have any questions or anything that they would like to share at this point?
Wendy, Julie had a question. Julie, can you jump back on and ask Wendy to clarify your question?
Yeah, so at one point, I can't remember what you were describing now, but you had said it'd be so easy to download the question or the comments in the chat.
Yeah.
So if you want to save that, but I don't, you mentioned saving it as a certain type of file that I hadn't heard of before. So
a CSV file. That's a file that spreadsheets. It's a comma separated value is the CSV. You just made me dust off my brain. And it's a file that spreadsheets like to read. So you would be able to open it in Google Slides or Excel or any other spreadsheet reading program.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely. Oh, I see David typed with so many tools. How many would I include throughout a course? David, I would use Slides quite a bit. Google Slides I would use a lot. As far as other tools, I would usually say it depends upon my class. And I would start by taking their temperature of one a week, and I would see what they get into and how big of a project might they be able to use. I don't want to overwhelm them. And so I want to look at what's my content and what tool best supports it. And that's what I would run with. So with that, we're closing to the end. My email address is on the slide. Please, please, please reach out. If I can do anything for you or your faculty at any point going forward, I am more than happy to do that. So I thank you for so many of you continuing to participate today and sticking with us through our session. And I don't know, Kathy, is there anything I'm missing?
Thank you so much, Wendy. Your wealth of knowledge is just phenomenal, and your practical applications are so useful. If all of you, if you can see where you might have reactions, if you'd like to give Wendy an applause, please feel free to do so. And please remember also to repeat the session survey found on the survey widget. And this session, of course, will be viewable in the recorded sessions widget later today. And you're right, Wendy, we have come to the end of our time together. And so for all of you, thank you very much for participating and joining Wendy in this session. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and please proceed to your next scheduled event. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
How do you do the attendance? Do you know, Wendy?
Attendance for what, my friend?
They were talking about when we get on your site, and then I had some computer trouble, so I missed it at the beginning. Do you know how to do the attendance for the session?
Oh, Kathy, do you know?
They did not give us instructions for taking attendance, but this session is recorded. So we should be able to have your attendance that way.
Okay, they were talking about early on, and I've been having audio issues, so I've had to shut my computer off.
Oh,
Yeah, so I've been like missing the first parts of these things, so I was just wondering if there was something that you ladies knew, but if not, that's fine. I'll figure it out.
well, and you typed a thing in the chat, so your name is recorded for posterity there too.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Bye, Christine. Thanks.
Bye.
Oh my goodness. I am having an issue with this stuff. Okay. Oh my goodness. Please, I think I have an issue signing out.
Okay, you should just be able to close the window and it should take you out.
Oh, okay.
Actually, also, if you look at your screen, down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a red button and it says leave.
Oh, there you go.
And you just click it.
I think I hear myself somewhere. I can't find it. I can't find it. Okay. I'm unable to locate that. Let me increase it.
Do you see the leave button at the bottom?
I think I got it. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Did you find it?
Okay, I find it right now.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. I already can't do the leave the meeting. I click on leave and it's still showing me leave meeting.
That's right. Click it again.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a restart, sometimes it's click twice.
That's right. Excellent job, Wendy.
Thank you.
oh my gosh, I can't believe how much you know about all of these different tools.
They're fun. I could talk a lot longer than 50 minutes. When we're in person, it usually there's a really good back and forth, and that's a lot of fun. And I'm glad people jumped on and played a little bit too. So that was fun.
Yeah. So this session is recorded. I'm sure they're going to be doing a little bit of editing, and so they'll have it up and ready for you and all the viewers later. Thank you so much for letting me share this time with you.
Oh, I'm so glad I got to meet you. Let's connect later.
Absolutely. As Bonnie said, Wendy's a great person. You guys need to have coffee when we can have some coffee again.
I know. Well, I will reach out. How's that?
That sounds great.
All right. Take care, Kathy.
Wendy. And again,
yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.